So that sound you hear behind me, that's not machinery. That's cicadas. That's nature. It's the real deal. Like not exactly white noise. I'd say it's more like gray noise, and hopefully it won't distract from what it is I want to do today, which is to share a story from my law practice of a time that life was able to get behind the armor that I had constructed as a lawyer to keep myself safe. And I know I'm not the only one. And I know I've dealt with all kinds of professions, mentoring and whatnot. And I think lawyers are the most armored up. We feel somehow to maintain our professionalism and maintain our equanimity. I think we come to realize at some point that that armor holds the stress in and keeps happiness out. And it generally takes something to kind of sneak behind that armor so that we can carry down that armor and just experience life as it is and really feel the experience for our own lives. In this case, it was a case that I had in West Virginia. I mentioned a very corrupt West Virginia town. And when I say corrupt, I'm not being hyperbolic. It was a RICO case, a racketeering case that actually took down the criminal organization that had the whole judicial system in its pocket. One county down the river, it couldn't match us in scale, but it was even more corrupt at its core. Corrupt prosecutor, corrupt. The whole thing just stunk. And if they had it in for you, you were done. And I represented an 18-year-old kid who was charged with a theft that he did not actually commit. And the prosecutor and the cop manufactured evidence and buried other evidence and changed testimony and did everything that he could. And the prosecutor just went right along with it. And, it's kind of a rural town, and they think if you're arrested, you must be guilty. And he was convicted. And I was devastated. I had never had an innocent client actually convicted before. And the compounded, my spiritual teacher that I lived with at the time said, "You can't let that kid go to the penitentiary. He's 18 years old. He's just a sweet little thing. He goes in there, he's shot. His physical future, even his psychic, spiritual future, will be shot. You got to keep that kid out." And I took this as like the burning bush. I had to do something about it. And I remember I just made up my mind, that guy is not going to jail. And I just set my mind, everything I could do, anybody I could contact. I actually spent nights in the law library, something that I never did before. And I'm not sure how often I did it afterwards. I'd be there 3, 4 in the morning, just looking for anything, talking to anybody I could talk to. And then a couple of weeks before sentencing, the West Virginia Supreme Court came in a ruling, and something obviously unrelated to my case, but it had to grant me a new trial. And I went back with that. I don't know if they just didn't have the stomach to do the whole thing again, but he pled to some misdemeanor and got time served. And, that was the end of that. And at the time, I thought, okay, this is the power of my intentionality, the power of my will that I put in my mind, and this happened, and it just proves that if you set your mind to something, anything can happen. But then I realized something else. It wasn't my mind. If there's a miracle here, which there was, I'll call it a miracle, it was my heart. The fact that I had such empathy for him. And I saw myself as this 18-year-old kid. And of course, I'm never going to go to the penitentiary. I wasn't going to be surrounded with that kind of danger, that kind of predators. But I think all of us, in some sense, feel that way about life for whatever reason. And I could feel, God, there but for the grace of God go I. Not circumstantially, but just in terms of what he was actually facing, what I lived my life in fear of facing. And it softened me up to realize that universality, but more importantly, it made me realize that heart was where my power lied. That's where the connection was, and that I could actually perform legal miracles as much or even more so in my heart as I could with all the other tools that we generally have at our disposal. And that's what life will do if we'll let it. Just be times when our heart gets touched and all the constructs that we think we have to keep in place. So we have the illusion of security and the illusion of knowing and the illusion of control are actually superfluous. Anyway, if this is interesting to you, and you just want to talk about this or things in your own life or your own sense of armor or a thorn you want to get pulled out or something you want to do, just text me, 919-815-7658, and we can just talk. I'm not going to charge you for that. And also, if you ever share a story yourself that you want to share about a time when life got behind your armor, feel free to contact me. And next time it'll be you sitting here with a suitcase.